Dama Nerds. We're back again with episode 48. And funny enough, I look at the clock and it's 7:48. It's just meant to be. 7:48 p.m., April 5th, the 14th year of Sander. Always with my good buddy, MJ. What's up, MJ?
Yo, nerds. I'm super excited about this one, as in every episode. 48. As you mentioned, Rod, 14th year of Sander. Totally dropped the ball. If you listen 2 episodes ago when we were talking with the GT Optics gang crew, posse, whatever you want to say. Nobody says posse anymore.
Squad, posse.
Yeah. I totally was saying like we should focus on it because like I dropped the ball last year and I want to like really make it a thing, like make a hashtag out of it, have everyone do clips from his edits, and I'm sorry it didn't happen. So I got another year to try for that one. But in any case, it is 14th year of Sander. A lot of people don't know what that is. If you don't know, ask another nerd because they might know. And if you don't, then keep on listening because it's going to be like a secret.
Unless you're a real nerd. Speaking of nerds, you know, there's the 2 of us nerds who are always hanging out in the studio, but we are not only the double barrel shotgun that is the Dama Nerds today. We have one more barrel locked and loaded on this here shotgun with our 3rd nerd in the barrel. What's up, Haley Bishoff? How you doing?
Thank you guys so much for having me as the 3rd nerd. I am so honored to be here and help with the female series of Dama Nerds.
Yes.
Yeah. It's an honor to have you, as always.
Reviving the click-clack MC-ness in you that has been hiding. You've been put in the corner for a while.
Coming back strong.
Oh, yeah. And well, since we got the 3rd nerd, Haley, how would you like to introduce our guest for this episode?
Oh, my gosh. I didn't know I was going to be put on the spot for such an important introduction, but we have another female from the community who's come up quite a lot in the last 2 years or so, I would say. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But Lisa, and your last name is always hard for me to pronounce, but Komatsubara.
Yes, perfect.
Yeah.
So episode 48, we're so happy to have you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, Lisa, thank you for joining us all the way from New Zealand. But one good thing about COVID is that it's created places like this, applications like this, where we can all connect even more. Hell, there's even like kendama events being all done through this magical thing called Zoom and the internet. So hey, we just hang out. You're in a different season, which is a whole other type of thing, which my mind is always like, man, that's crazy. When you talk about like summertime in February, it's like, what? My mind does not commute, but still, this is going to be a good one. Super excited to have you on the show. Yeah, we're going to go deep there. Now, I always do a little espionage, a little spying whenever guests come on the Nerds episode. And I went deep in learning about you, Lisa.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Double O nerd.
How deep did you dive?
Here we go. Okay, so of course I found your website.
Oh no.
Okay. No, come on. Oh no, you have
so outdated.
I know, because if you scroll down all the way to the bottom, you'll see that it's like registered mark like 2014. I was like, damn, Lisa, you've been putting this one on the shelf for a while.
Oh yeah.
Could use a revamp, but
possibly.
Still found a lot of cool stuff. And of course you did the interview with Adam on the review. Yeah, I think it was last year. Right.
Was it last year? Oh, I don't even know. I can't even keep up with the years.
Exactly. Since COVID happened, like it feels like I don't even think 2020 happened. Everyone was so excited for it. And like I look back on it. It was.
You know, it's funny. They say 2020 hindsight, you know, but I don't know about for this 2020.
Yeah. It was just negative. There was nothing there. It sounds 2020, but it was still something that, you know, a good interview that I saw with you. And you talked a lot about juggling and your influence from that and your birth into or kind of reconnecting to kendama. Because of course you're Japanese and you have plenty of, I guess, are you first generation in New Zealand?
Yes, I am. Yes.
Okay. So you still have a lot of like deep roots connecting there. So you had an old school, like a tourist kendama at your place.
Yeah, actually I have it with me right now. It's like This one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, damn.
That's a good one. That's a definitely
Shaped Dama.
classic.
Classic.
But that bevel is definitely like 20, 30 size bevel.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, damn.
Look at that bubble.
That's why the Tama is so big. You got to make room for that bevel.
Yeah, it's mostly bev in there. But it's a very classic one that you can see. It is, like you said, very difficult to use. And that's pretty much what turned you off from kendama.
Yeah, I didn't really enjoy it. Like, it was lying around or play with it occasionally, but I thought that was just it, cups and spike. And it wasn't that interesting to me. And it was just sitting there the whole time.
All right, sweet. I don't really care. Nobody else cares. The family doesn't know about it. It's just like a prop to prove, like, it's like the ink on the hanko. Like, I'm Japanese, certified. We have a kendama in the house.
Yeah, it's pretty much it.
Which is funny because I think that happens to a lot of people. Like when we talked with Keith Matsumura, he also had, that was the same story where, he's got relatives in Japan. He's half Japanese and they just had a kendama. He didn't even know about it until Matt Ballard was like, hey, look at this thing called kendama. He's like, I think I've seen that before. Deja vu. And he pulled one out of his closet and it was similar like yours, Lisa, tourist style, because those are the common ones that you could find compared to other like TKs or Ozoras from back in the day. But it was very interesting to see that. But of course, everybody knows you. I think, at least in the kendama community, everyone who's listening learned about you because you were such a progressive, amazing kendama juggling, incorporating juggle tricks into your kendama play, right?
Yes.
Right. And like, that's like, personally, when I saw a lot of companies and other people share your stuff or just have you pop up on the feed because the algorithm liked all your hits in the comments, I was like, man, wow, like this person's really good. I'm like, where's she from? Because I thought you were maybe in Japan. And I was like, whoa, I haven't seen this person before. But then I continued to search and I was like, whoa, like she's just amazing at juggles. And that's one thing, as many old school players as I am, an old head in the game, juggling is not our forte, you could say. You could say. Yeah. You could say. So I realized like how amazing you are at juggling. And I was like, man, that's just wow. But then I noticed the cheat that you have is the background of juggling.
Yes, the cheat.
The cheat.
It's always felt like it though, honestly. Like people will be like freaking out and I'm like, actually, I've been juggling for this many years. So yeah.
How many years is that?
I've been juggling for over 14 years now. A long time now.
Damn, I was gonna say I did a little 00 nerd mission of my own. Yeah, and went back in your Instagram, and I went to see like when your kendama Instagram started and when your juggling Instagram started, and I was like, I think the first couple posts on your juggling Instagram is like 2014 or something, and you're juggling 7 balls. So I'm like, what the fuck? Like she obviously played before 2014.
Yeah,
like, yeah. 'Cause I'm over here. I've been trying to teach myself 5 balls for like 2 years, and I'm still fucking so upset about it. But that's a different story.
Yeah. Because to go back, let's just go, everyone. And so all the nerds don't have to look up the Lisa Komatsubara, Lisa Juggler website. I'll just read for everyone.
Yeah, nobody needs to go to that website.
I'll just read the intro. Born and raised in Auckland, New
website that
Zealand.
I made when I was in high school or something.
Right, because yeah. If everyone remembers from the review, you started like young, like 17, you started like kind of getting gigs.
Yeah.
Right? Okay,
I was at school and just like doing gigs and just continued on.
On that website, all a list of all your shows too. And there are a lot. A lot of performances.
Just some of the highlights.
Yeah.
That's not even all of them.
Oh, you don't know like all the weird little gigs that I did as a teenager.
What was like the weirdest one? I want like a weird juggling gig story.
It was like the weird one was I got hired to be in like this corporate meeting where this guy was trying to present this new product, and he wanted to talk, like create this whole story of like, oh, how can you juggle work and do this? And was talking about, oh, you're going to fail and you're going to make mistakes. And while he was talking about this, I was hired to just stand next to him and juggle when he talked about this, and then drop, say, you're going to make mistakes. And just, yeah. And that was my gig.
That's hilarious.
It paid well, though. It was.
I was gonna say, I bet it paid well.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, I would juggle behind a dude in a boardroom for some cash. Why not?
I feel like I'm picturing some scene from The Office where like Michael Scott is giving a presentation and exactly what's happening, and everyone's like, "Why?"
I mean, that was a good premise. I think funny, interesting idea to make it visual instead of just a guy talking on the podium. All right. Well, let's just go back really quickly because in this episode, I definitely want you, Lisa, to talk more about maybe other things that you haven't touched upon. So say for the review, of course, it was just a lot about how you got into juggling and then how you transitioned kendama and then the builds, the different crossings of the two skills. But just to give everyone a backstory, instead of course, go back and listen to the review of that episode. But let's again, let me read the About Lisa page. Is everyone ready?
No.
Everyone ready?
No.
I'm going to take a sip of coffee right before. Okay, here we go. Born and raised in Auckland, New Zealand, Lisa has been a circus fan since the age of 5 when she went to the circus that visited her hometown. 5, everyone. Think about when you first went to the circus. Let me just put that out there. Any case, at the age of 10, she decided she wants to learn a circus act. So she picked up some mini bean bags and tried out juggling. After a few hours of practice, she juggled 3 balls for the first time. Hours of juggling at the age of 10.
Nice.
Oh, that's pretty intense because I remember when I finally unlocked 3, that was like after years, not hours, years of just doing the stupid like crossover with just 2. And then continues. Yeah. After a few months of practicing up to 5 balls, she decided to practice with other props and become a juggler. Lisa is the only female in New Zealand who can juggle up to 5 clubs. Now, is this something that you titled yourself?
So this is funny. I had no idea of this fact until one day a friend of mine just messaged me, "Hey, did you know you're like the only one who is a female who does?" And I'm like, "Oh, I am?" And she was like, "Yep." And back then I didn't really, because I was still young and didn't have gigs, she was telling me how I could use that as like a selling point to get gigs.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
You know, nowadays I don't necessarily need that. It's still a cool thing.
Is it still true that you're doing that?
But the level of juggling New Zealand has risen, so I'm not too sure at the moment. There are occasionally some like hidden jugglers that we don't even know about, so I'm not too sure. But I know, they'll be exciting if there are like heaps more.
Yeah. Every time you like find a trick, people are always like, "Oh, it's a new trick," or like something like, "Oh, I'm the first to do this," or whatever. I always like to think that somebody's probably out there that doesn't post on Instagram that's doing it. You know what I mean? Like there just has to be. But I don't know, not to say that you're not the only one. I have no idea, but that's just like usually the way I think about those kinds of things.
Yeah, I think the same as well.
And it's a crazy world we live in.
It will be exciting if there is like other people.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then it just finishes off saying that you were the first person from New Zealand to be, or woman juggler from New Zealand to be perform in Las Vegas. You were invited there. And this was when you were 17 years old. You must have been like a child prodigy in some sorts.
Maybe. Yeah.
Right?
Whenever I went to like juggling festivals, I was always like the youngest one. And when I first went to my first ever juggling festival in New Zealand, people were like, "Who is this little girl just juggling in the corner by herself?" And like for like a few years, it was always me, like this little kid, just juggling, and people were like, "What's going on? Like, who is this?"
Just every year, there's just more things flying in the air in that corner. Or
Yeah.
But yeah, that trip to Vegas was like my first time traveling anywhere by myself, and even going to the States actually. So I was freaking out. I just finished high school, or I was finishing up, and I was already planning this trip while I was at school. And it was like this insane experience, but I'm so grateful for it because that got me really into traveling. And since then, I've just loved traveling overseas to festivals. And like, that's why I'll go to any Dama event if there is any like opportunities. And yeah, I really miss that now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Right.
Do you remember where in Vegas you performed?
Yeah. It was at the Riviera. So it was part of a juggling convention. And I got invited to perform in the showcase that they were running. But I go to Vegas quite often, actually. Yeah, they have a juggling convention there often. So it's always around like Riviera. Oh, although that's gone now. Since then, it's been at the Rio. But most years, I used to go to Vegas like at least once or every 2 years.
Mm-hmm. And then you came back for your first Dama event in Vegas.
Yeah.
Open. And you actually won the Open.
Right.
Dama event, right?
Everyone smiling, laughing, slapping, and giggling about how Lisa just took her first comp.
Yeah.
So also when you came to Las Vegas, it was your first kendama event in 2019 for the All Girls Kendama Open, and you actually won.
Yeah, it was insane. Like honestly, it was just such a crazy experience. Everything's kind of like a blur to me. So I'm so glad that Karen made that documentary, like the whole documentation of the whole trip, because so many things that I'd forgotten because I was just in a whole rush, just like experiencing everything.
Right. Yeah. One of my favorite memories from that trip. So little story, you might know which one I'm going to tell, but we were all at my place with Carolina having brunch. It was like a whole group of a bunch of the girls that was there. And Karen made a video. So you should definitely check it out on YouTube. It's like their whole trip. But I think this part was featured in the video. Lisa was trying to learn her first wing, and we literally had like 8 people surrounding her with cell phones from every single angle, like waiting for her to just hit the wing to spike. And she finally got it, and everyone just completely lost it and went crazy. And then I realized too, in your All Girls Kendama video contest entry, you did juggle to wing. So just in that little time, you completely leveled up. But it was so fun, just like the hype and the excitement around you getting your first wing to spike.
Yeah, it was great. And I remember we were like late to leave as well, but everyone was like, no, you got to get the wing first. So as soon as I left, we were like, okay, it's time to go.
Yeah. Classic kendama players, when they say just one more, that means like at least like 30 more.
Yeah.
Just one more hour, maybe.
Yeah.
Minutes, but it was so worth it. It was so fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
How was that when you took that? Did you feel like hell yeah, motherfuckers, or were you like, damn, like, do I deserve this? I kind of just like destroyed. I am a professional juggler, by the way. Like, you know, was there like real talk? Like, was there a little bit of that feeling in there, or were you just like, booyah, like destroyed?
What, the wing or the comp?
The comp. Sorry. Okay. Well, we can do both. I'm sure you were so stoked about the wing.
I was gonna say, I think it's obvious that you did crush the wing. I don't know if there's any questioning about that.
Comp. Oh, I don't know, because the trick list was gnarly. Like, so many of the tricks in that list I'd never done before. I'm pretty sure I could only do like a quarter of the list when you released it. And I was like, wow, this is going to be a grind to practice for this comp. And I was like determined, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take the challenge. And so I remember practicing so much, and I was just like, am I even going to be able to do anything? And I'd I've heard a lot about like getting nervous on stage or like in a comp. And I wasn't sure how I was going to be because I'm used to being performing in front of people and I don't get nervous, or like I can stand on the stage in front of like thousands of people and I'll be fine. But with Dama, it just felt different. So I was like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen. Am I going to get the shapes, or am I just going to like completely forget everything that I just learned? And so when I did like take the win, I was genuinely surprised, actually. I really didn't know what to expect. And of course, I was up against Steph, so I was like freaking out as well because like I know how good Steph is. But yeah, I think in that video you can see my reaction as well. I just couldn't believe it, and like took me a second to like realize that it actually happened. But yeah, really, really stoked.
And maybe that might have been like a kind of almost like a helpful part that you were up against Steph, because that was after you came to Japan, right? When we met for the first time. Yeah. And I remember it seemed like you two bonded pretty well. Like you were traveling a lot throughout Japan. So going up against her, you were probably just like, like what? Like, yeah, I know you're good, but like, it's like almost like a buddy vibe where maybe there was some pressure dropped off.
It definitely helped me relax a bit. Like before the comp, I was kind of like nervous, but knowing that everyone that I was competing against were just my friends really helped me calm down, and knowing Steph as well. Yeah. And also like before the comp, we practiced together as well. So that definitely helped. And it was fun. Like no matter what happened, I was just so happy to be there. Like I wasn't really like thinking about, I have to win. Just being the last two was exciting, and just meeting everyone at the event that was already a highlight. So I didn't feel like a whole lot of pressure, which was great, but I also wanted to like make sure I did my best.
Do you feel like there's a difference between how nervous you were? Like, let's say you were in that exact situation, the girls comp, versus like on stage at NAKO. Do you feel like you would have felt more nervous at that comp, or was it more relaxed because it was like the all girls kendama open, or was it just because you were against Steph, a friend?
So because I've never been to like NAKO, I'm not too sure, but I can imagine it would have felt more like not daunting, but like kind of a whole lot more pressure. And just the whole intimate vibe that we had at the girls event helped me a lot. And everyone was just stoked, like no matter what, even if you missed, everyone just like so hyped. And that definitely helped a lot. And of course, Steph being Steph, she's great. So
yeah, I think that's one thing that everyone will learn to as the kendama events get bigger and more people go, the venues are going to get bigger, unless we're talking about now and whatever the future holds. Who knows? Conspiracy theories talking about that, what the world's going to end up to be like. But definitely having it a tight knit group, as we all know, like when you first started kendama, or maybe even in New Zealand with you, Lisa, that there's not such a huge crowd. And when you do meetups, you pretty much know like 90% of the people, and just like 10% are like new faces here and there. But it's such a relaxing vibe where you don't care at the end. Like maybe there's some people who are competitive, but in the end, it's like, whatever, like, okay, you won this time. Like I'll get you back like next week when we have another one. And it's just a great way to get used to and kind of almost like training to perform or play in front of other people. You're ready for like an actual comp that with all the bright lights and maybe there's like media there or something. But like you said, you're past of being a juggler since 17 or whatever, finishing school up and just going down the path of, I want to be a juggler. Like that's a performer. Like that's my role. And that's my dream. I've seen pictures of you, again, going back to that awesome website, Circa 2014, juggling. Have you guys seen this? Did you check it out? Juggling big ass, like Crocodile Dundee knives.
Oh shit.
There were like 5 of them And you were on like a balance board at the same time? Or maybe not 5.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
3.
3. Okay. Still, I'll just do 1 in my kitchen. That's good enough for me. You know?
Random side note, have you ever thought about entering America's Got Talent, or like if New Zealand has a version of that? Would you ever do a show like that?
It's interesting. A lot of people ask this, but I know too much about what goes on in those shows that it's not really appealing to me. I do have a few friends who have tried, but it just always ends up being, you know, a singer or someone with a, you know, inspiring story. So juggling, you could, if you perform it well, if you plan something really good, that maybe a video that could go viral, that can really like benefit your career just to get exposure. But if you know, if it's risky like juggling, a single drop may not be much to jugglers, but to a non-juggler, that's like failing like everything. So that's why it's 100%. A big risk. So it's not really something that I'll be interested in.
So
that's fair.
Well,
I was going to ask too, actually, if you've done any, like, I know juggling has competitions and whatnot, but it's a little bit different. Yeah. But have you ever done any juggling competitions as well?
Yeah. So there's multiple types of juggling competitions. There's like the sports side where it's kind of like kendama, where you like score points for like tricks you do, or there's also the performing side where you create a routine and present it. So I'm more leaning towards performing side. So I've done competitions where I perform a routine that I create. And I did, the last one I did was 2020, just before COVID. Like that was my last big comp. And
how'd you do?
I did great. It was like it was part of the IJA, so International Jugglers Association. Yeah. They were doing like a global competition where from each region there's a one winner. And so I entered for the Oceania region and I took first. So I took first for that region.
Wow.
And so in this year was supposed to be all the finalists from each region all around the world to compete in one big comp in Mexico. But I don't think that will be happening this year. It was supposed to be happening like mid this year, but I have no word on if that's happening or not, even if it is online or I don't know.
Fair enough. So we've talked before about how like kendama is basically like pretty male dominated in just overall. Do you find juggling to be that way as well? Or is it pretty like 50-50?
Oh, kendama and juggling community is like very similar. Like just the same actually. Like we do have like groups, like a girls group where we try to like highlight girls in the community and like try to grow the community. And, you know, there's all these problems or things that needs to be worked on. And yeah, it's pretty much the same actually.
Nice.
So is there any like, so one recent one that always sticks out to me because it was highlighted in so many places was when there were 3 women who joined the Sweets team. I think, again, with the years, when was that now, guys? Like 2 years ago? Oh, well, last year? Yeah. And there was a bit of controversy with some people who didn't think they deserved the spot and people explaining like it's not all about just being the best player. So are there things like that within juggling too, where there's not controversy, but
like backlash?
Yeah, kind of backlash. Negative
Definitely
comments.
Does happen when like a female juggler does get highlighted. They doubt their abilities, or you know, it's common. It's sad, but common.
Yeah. Where's that IJA from? Is it European based? Is
America,
there like a headquarters?
Actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the festival actually happens in the States, and each year it's in a different state. So I've been to the festivals a few times now as well.
All right. Because I was about to say, yeah, if it was like connected with Japan, because we know there's a lot of negative looks upon women in Japan and just like holding them down like for the longest fucking time. Like it's really ridiculous.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
It's really bad. Like so many like old dudes still continue to think like the job of the woman is to stay home, take care of the kids, because like a housewife is still like a term of occupancy. Like that's what you do. And the guy is supposed to go work ridiculous hours, like never see his family because he's just working all the time. And like that's it. And he makes the money. Like that is such a normal way to see or how many Japanese people, especially the older generations, see that. And it just sucks. And it's so sad to see. And it's so frustrating.
It's just outdated. Like I remember my first trip to Japan was in 2014 for World Cup, like the first World Cup. And I had to forget exactly where we were staying, but they wanted to make a guy and girl separate room. Like I wasn't technically supposed to stay in the room with my team because I went like the squad and fuck that. Like I want to hang out with my friends, like, you know.
Yeah.
Was that when you made your bed in the closet?
I did sleep in a closet above yours.
Yeah, that was Tomotsu's house, wasn't it?
Nice.
Oh, no, that was Tomotsu's house, but that wasn't where like they wanted us to be separate. I don't think it was at a hostel or something.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
His parents cared, but I did sleep in a closet on that trip. I forgot about that. But
I've slept in that closet before. It's a good closet.
Yeah, it's
a good closet.
It's too outdated to think that way, and that is totally something I noticed about Japan. And there's so many things I love and respect about Japanese culture, but that I don't know. It's just
it's so surprising. Like I think for most people, because everyone has the image of Japan being like so forward with all the technology and stuff, but like once you like be here for a little bit, well, true, but like still like ways of thinking. Because dude, technology. I think just within the past maybe like 3 years, it finally became a law to have ACs, air conditioning in schools all over Japan. Because before there was nothing. And with like the heat in the summertime, like people die.
It gets hot.
Kids and old elderly are dying from heat stroke like on the regular in summer here. And like that was just a thing. Before they just had like fans, like they just open the window and turn on the fans. That don't do shit when it's so humid.
Yeah. I did a lot of performances in schools with no fucking AC. I feel. And
like just that's how it is. Or like the government finally being like, we got to get rid of fax machines because they're still using faxes.
Yeah, that shit blows my mind. Why? Why would you put yourself through such fucking agony? Just the sound of it alone. Like, fuck off. Get it out of there.
Right. Damn it. So to kind of like come back over here to Lisa, to your story. Now your mother and father are Japanese, like you said, you're first generation. How did they take your love and passion for juggling? Were they like, I don't know about this for my daughter, this might not be a good path? Or were they fully supportive? I know they brought you to the circus like almost every weekend when you were a kid. So I'm guessing they were supportive.
Yeah. So I've been very lucky, honestly. They've been so supportive. As soon as I found out that I loved the circus, just like you said, they took me to the circus like every weekend and we followed them around, like if it wasn't too far away. And
you were like a deadhead with a Grateful Dead, like just following this tour.
Like they knew that it made me really happy and I loved it. So that's what they wanted, that's all they wanted me to be happy doing what I wanted to do. And then they didn't really push me to do like, the typical studying or anything. I actually didn't go to college or anything, uni or anything, because I knew juggling is what I wanted to do. And as soon as I like started working as well, like actually getting gigs while I was still in high school, like they could see that I could support myself. So,
And is it a full-time job? Like, do you only do shows for a living or do you do anything else on the side?
I used to just do performing. Like, so when I transitioned from like high school and after high school, I just continued full time for a bit. But then at a point, just working, doing juggling started stressing me out about money and having to take gigs that I didn't want to do. And I was slowly starting to lose passion. So that's why I started like just having a regular job as well. So I do both at the part-time. Whenever there's gigs around, I'll do a gig. I've got a good balance at the moment.
So you're not only good at like juggling balls and clubs, but you can juggle your lifestyle, work.
Yeah,
passion.
I guess so.
Thank you.
You need me to demonstrate as well as you.
I was trying to think of one of those. Yeah, it's like nobody tell her to drop it. Nobody tell her to drop it.
Oh man.
I think it's hard when like you are passionate about something, but doing it so often, even though you love it, can totally burn you out. I think that can happen with anything. So
100%.
Yeah, definitely.
To have multiple things that you do, or multiple hobbies, or passions, or jobs, but
yeah.
I also feel like I did live that time as well, where I could keep pushing and doing juggling, but then only to like a certain point. Well, depending on the person and what you like to do. But for me, I feel like I got to live that grind, just hustling from juggling. So I'm happy with what I got to experience. And now I'm, like happy with just doing whatever comes my way instead of like constantly looking for juggling work. Mm-hmm. And now like my passion switched to like traveling. So that's like, if I work other jobs, I can save up and travel, because that's where like a lot of my like happiness comes from, traveling, meeting people and performing over there. And like now that I have Dama as well, more reasons to travel. And like my Vegas trip to AGKO, that was actually for Dama and juggling. The following weekend was a juggling convention, so I got two events in one trip, so that really worked out.
Yeah, that's awesome. You got to do that too at a young age, because I feel like so many people love something, like they're passionate about skateboarding or whatever, but they don't actually get to live out like the dream of doing it. So I think you're so lucky, obviously talented too, because you made it happen for yourself, but super lucky that you got to have that experience,
Yeah, thank you.
Hell yeah. That's awesome. So I have a question for you, Lisa. Do you ever fuck with like the stringless, like 2 tama, 1 ken, like juggling kind of shit?
Honestly, surprisingly, I don't as much. I feel like
I feel like you destroy it.
Yeah.
I could, but I maybe
just make me look bad.
I like to keep juggling and kendama separate, because
this is what I was thinking.
Because I don't know at what point is this too easy for me for kendama or too hard. Like it kind of blends in too much. That's why
I see what you're saying.
When I'm doing too many juggling tricks, when I'm like posting a trick, I'm like, is this like, am I really satisfied with what I'm doing? Am I fulfilled with the challenges? Because juggling is like my warm-up trick. Whenever I pick up the kendama, I'll just pick it up, juggle it. So sometimes I'm just like, I need to push myself, do something that I feel uncomfortable with. So that's why with stringless, it just turns into juggling, It's not a kendama now. It's just 2 objects that I can juggle. So that's why I like to keep it separate. But if I'm performing like a kendama act, then I'll do stringless and juggle it on stage.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a crowd pleaser for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
Oh, go ahead, MJ.
I was just thinking it's similar, or it is pretty much juggling. And for the commoner, they know that much more than they do kendama. So it would please them in that way. They know like, oh, that person's juggling those 2 objects. Because it could be any kind of object, they don't care, but they notice, then they know that skill compared to a kendama when you're doing taps or instas or birds. So like, I don't know. Oh, what's that? Yeah.
I think so too. Like with your tricks, when I watch your tricks on Instagram, like you are a relatively new Dama player, but you seem like you've been playing for so long because it looks so natural when you juggle. Yeah. But I can tell, I'm not saying this in a bad way, but I can tell when you're really trying to lace a trick, when you're doing like a lunar line or a stall line or something that's like not the thing that feels most natural to you. I'm like, oh, she definitely worked really hard to lace that trick, you know?
Oh, that's awesome to hear.
Like, I don't know. I feel like you've been playing forever just because of how smooth and consistent and everything is. Like, we're opposite. I can't juggle for shit, but
your juggle game lately has been really good though.
I'm really trying, but man, I do some tricks, some skills.
That's true. That's a good segue because I did have that in my notes. That was a thing that I learned that Lisa, one of the first person that you followed on Instagram about kendama was Haley, and you mentioned also that she's a big inspiration for you. And I wanted to also say, mention, I was like, did you watch my shotgun interview with her before, where she said the trick that she hates the most is juggling?
Oh yeah, yeah.
did that just like take you down a notch? Like when you see like that really like beautiful person, you're like, wow, and then you see them like pick up a cigarette, and you're like, gross. No,
not at all. Not at all.
So it didn't bother you. It's like, well, she doesn't like juggling.
Of course not. Like,
that's cool.
It doesn't matter what kind of tricks you do. Like, you can tell when someone is grinding something, and how much you put into it.
Absolutely.
Nice. So that's what you felt from Haley's play and her style.
Yeah, and also like Haley, you have your own style, which I like. It's just like everything's so quick and like polished. That's what I really like. I didn't like look at Haley and think, oh, I want to juggle like Haley or anything, because like we're totally different styles. So it's like when I say like I have favorite players that I take inspiration from, it's sometimes like a whole portion of it, or like a grain of salt that I take from the play style. And I try to like merge it and create my own style.
Yeah. And going back to like your juggle tricks, when we were judging for the All Girls Kendama video contest this year, we were tied up between, for the best single banger, like best single trick category, it was between you for the first trick in your edit. It was like crazy behind the back juggle trick. If you guys have not seen it, definitely go watch it. And then Ayaka, who actually won. But we were like, trying to just like comprehend what you were doing and how you were doing it like so perfectly. But then we were like, you know what? No, Ayaka's is a little bit, harder.
Ayaka deserves it. Yeah.
Is so your style, like we ended up giving you a different category, of course, but yeah, your trick at the beginning of that edit was insane.
Thank you. Yeah, I really wanted to add, like every year I try to add something that probably hasn't been done. And so that was like the one trick that I thought, oh, I could try this out. But at the same time, I was like, oh, this is kind of like juggling. Like, it's not like impossible to me, but I know that kendama players can appreciate it. So that's why I kind of included that into it.
Yeah, you're the only person I've ever seen do that. So.
Oh, really? Oh, that's awesome to hear.
Yeah, I think you definitely have a different mindset. I think it's, of course, with the juggling background, just like when we see people who are yo-yo players and understand string a lot better, then you can see them really excel with using the string and create new tricks, or just looking at it from a different perspective. So that's definitely something that you bring to the table.
Yeah, I feel lucky that I can have like different views as well. And especially like when practicing as well. With juggling, you really have to take your time, and it really tests your patience. So having that has definitely helped me progress with kendama, and I know how to like break down tricks and really like work on it.
Yeah,
like baby steps.
Yeah, like with kendama, it feels like there's always like a start and finish with the trick, right? Of course, like the spike is the finish, but with juggling, it's just catching them all again,
not dropping them.
Yeah,
right.
Or until you drop. Yeah. So like when you look at my first posts when I started my kendama account, you'll never see me spike. I'll do like a line and I mess up and that's it. And I'm like happy about it. because it felt like ending with a spike. Now I see why it's important. But back then, I just thought every little progress was something to celebrate. And that's why I wanted to share. And that was something that I didn't know about kendama. And someone mentioned, oh, you do realize you have to spike at the end, right? And I'm like, oh, so it's not like, wait, I can't just do whatever. And that was like a whole new discovery that I didn't even know about, but I'm glad that that's left there to see like how I played and how I didn't even know what I was doing.
Right. Yeah. Because definitely for the seasoned kendama player, people watching other people's tricks, it's like as if you were on a skateboard and you like go for a kickflip and the board flips, but you don't jump back, you don't get back on the board. It's like, you gotta spike it. But with your background, Lisa, you didn't have much contact with the community before when you started. So it's like, who knew?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty safe to say we all have at least a clip where you don't spike it. I know I have at least one or two.
Dude, I spent my first 2 years not spiking a kendama.
See, my point exactly.
Yeah. I spent my 2 first years fucking Moshikame grip, Sada grip. That's it. I did not try anything else. No Tama, because I had zero knowledge of this. Yeah. So I was mostly doing hacky sack tricks, bouncing it off my knee and stuff. And then finally someone was like, oh, you're supposed to spike it? I was like, bullshit, get the fuck out of here.
The beautiful thing about kendama is even though you're maybe doing it quote unquote wrong, nothing's actually wrong.
Yeah.
You can literally make it whatever you want.
Yeah.
Your own. Yeah. You don't have to spike it. It's probably better and more accepted if you do. But I don't think anyone's going to shame you for it.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. No, people are going to shame you. There's assholes out there.
Yeah. I mean, there's a way. There's ways to go about it, I suppose. If you saw. There was the one edit from Edwin in the New Year's contest. He starts it off with some crazy trick to bird, and then he just looks at the camera and just drops it, just to flex. It's just it's
I don't need to show you that. Yeah,
okay, Edwin. It's Edwin, so the kid's doing some crazy shit. So you're just already holy fuck, he got it to bird.
Yeah,
and then he does that, and you're like, oh well, fuck you too, dude. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
Sick.
I think my favorite is the random, you're trying to go to spike, but you just big cup it and then insta off the big cup instead. I do that all the time.
Oh yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Right. Goes to just having fun with it.
So 100%.
Lisa, you were talking about how you want to keep kendama and juggling separate, and from me, a music standpoint, I totally dig that. When I want to listen to my heavy metal, I want to listen to that. When I want to listen to pop music, I just want to focus on that. So a little similar there. How do you feel when you are watching other people play? Say, do you know Michi from Japan?
Oh yeah.
I don't know if he has any background with juggling, because I've only seen him at events playing kendama. I've never seen him take out.
He does.
He does?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. When I saw him at an event, he had a suitcase full of shit, and he had some juggling balls in there for sure. Yeah. Some clubs. That's the mark of a juggler. They bring a bag the size of that you can sit on, a bag full of toys.
Yeah. So how do you feel when you watch his stuff? Are you cool, or are you whatever? I enjoy watching when I'm in kendama mode, I want to see kendama tricks.
Oh no, I'm always welcome to all styles. I'm happy to see that. Me saying that I wouldn't do it doesn't mean that I don't enjoy watching, because I do like watching that, because especially I can do both skills, kendama and juggling. I know how hard what they're doing is.
Yeah.
So I can really appreciate it.
Yeah. Have you seen Rod juggle, by the way?
Yes. Oh yeah. I'm still waiting for the day we juggle together.
I know, dude. It almost happened in Japan. I was too broke to get to fucking Tokyo. Couldn't do it.
No problem.
I think I also had an event or something. But
anyway,
you
did.
Yeah.
It will happen.
Yeah. Because I think his juggling is very interesting where he adds a lot of like balancing. Like when you got the clubs rod, you like balance like the bottom to the other bottom, or you'll incorporate like taps.
I mean, that's not like, I didn't come up with that, right? Like I saw jugglers doing that before I ever juggled kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it is a very kendama like skill set and
connected,
kendama like way of approaching it kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that was actually one of the first things I ever did, like hanging out with Lucas Adverse in the old Terra shop. He said, I forget how it came up, but it was something to do with, like the balancing the club on the other club and then like tap, like 2 tap back to that. And I was like, I bet you I could do that. I ended up doing it and we filmed it. And it was just like, I don't think I was even juggling for, like, I don't even know if I could juggle clubs that well at that point.
Yeah.
If I could, it wasn't very well. Yeah. So it's like, and I'm just doing kendama tricks with the clubs, right?
Yeah.
It's funny how you can like just take that skill set and transfer it to a completely other thing. It's like you were talking about like yo-yoers playing Dama and being more in tune with the string, or jugglers playing Dama and being like more in tune with the 2 objects and just juggle tricks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
In the same way, kendama skills like translate to other things as well.
Yeah.
Just talk about like going off of that point. I feel like we need to give a special shout out to Guy Wright, because he's like the first pill pro, an amazing juggler. If you've ever seen his juggling videos, insane yo-yo player and kendama player, someone who's taken every single fine motor skill and just transferred it.
Yes.
Somehow.
Yes.
I don't know what he's doing anymore, but I don't know. Lisa,
I don't know either.
I'll need to check them out because I'm still too new to know.
Right.
Yeah. Was a little, earlier on.
Yeah. He was the first pill pro. If you didn't know, Lisa.
Awesome.
Yeah. And that's how I learned about him, because he had amazing pill tricks. But like you said, Haley, someone looks into him more and you see that, he's a yo-yo guy. I didn't know he did juggling too. Rod, you should know the most. He's a part of your team.
I was going to say, man, he was one of the only dudes on the Terra team I've never met. I never met Guy Wright.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I don't know. Great. I don't know much about him except for that what I thought you were going to say when you were going to say he is an amazing, I thought you were going to say mustache.
Mustache, yeah. He has that on point too.
His pro mod design on his pill. His mustache, very iconic.
Yeah,
but
very good.
Guy Wright juggling videos, Lisa there.
Yeah. Link me.
Yeah, he kills it. Yeah, he also had a pro model yo-yo, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did, because Smith got one off of a guy in a trade once, I remember. That's the only way I knew about it. Huh. But yeah.
Besides the point.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
The man has taken over. Well, he had taken over. Now he left, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know where he is.
This is mine. I'm gone. Bye.
That's what I love about these podcasts, because being a new player in the scene, I can learn so much just from one episode. Like every time I learn something about like something that happened years ago, or like part of history.
Yeah.
Really awesome.
Yeah. What was it? When we talked with Albert Jock, like hearing about his background, flaring with, as a bartender, and then seeing like, kind of like that was his cheat in a way to learn all like the arm balances that he does and how he can lock like stilt arm balance. Like, dude, like, how stilt?
You got to do it with a bottle for a couple years. First,
Yeah. So amazing. Lisa, let's track back. I know you juggle knives. You juggle. There was another picture,
Crocodile Dundee knives,
where there was like a huge like fireball in the picture. Looked like you were being engulfed in it. I didn't see any type of juggling material, just a big flame. I was like, do you do fire breathing too? Do you know what
I think it was the fire spinning, not breathing.
Spinning?
Yeah, it's like a fire staff, like just like one big stick that you spin.
Yeah.
So I used to do a little bit of that when I first got into like the community. I went to like every meetup, and we have fire meetups. So it's called Fire Nights. And I'm actually part of that community right now. And we run jams every week. And since last year, I started running weekly kendama jams. And we run it with the Fire Night jam. So that way we'll have our little kendama crew, but anyone who is at Fire Nights, if they become interested in kendama, we can teach. And because it's all like object manipulation, very similar skills. So it's easy to get people to start out. So through that, I had like been able to grow the community a little bit, which has been like a great way to get the New Zealand scene.
Yeah.
running.
Yeah. I mean,
that's awesome.
Another great way is how the number of your COVID patients is ridiculously low. That you in like Australia, like having like events still, like there's like music festivals. I remember one post like last year that you posted about how you did a concert or something. And like there was like a disclaimer, it's okay. Like we're in our country, we're allowed to gather.
Yeah, I wanted
to
mention that because I didn't want to seem like I was being irresponsible.
Yeah. Oh man. Dude, so going back to the fire jam thing you're talking about and kendama players hanging out before the fire jam, I've wanted to do this for years. Tell me you've done it. Have you ever lit your Dama on fire?
This conversation comes up a lot.
It has to, yeah.
We're still figuring out how to make it work.
Because you can't have the string.
Well,
the string would.
I have ideas.
You have ideas? We gotta get scheming, man.
Yeah, let's I'll be in touch.
Yeah.
I'm down to help. I'm down to help you out making one.
So, I mean, if you don't need the hole, you could definitely just use a tennis ball. It wouldn't work because it'd be very bouncy.
We were just talking about how you gotta spike it.
Yeah. There's, dude, it's on fire.
All the more reason to spike that shit.
What else? You can use
I want to put like a little pocket of gasoline in the hole so when you spike it, it's like an extra explosion of fire.
My friend has actually mentioned that before. Same idea, yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Great minds think alike.
Some explosion. I remember, when was it? Like early on, it was Akimoto's birthday, like in the Sioux Lab, like circa 2014 or something. And we all had like a bunch of crackers that we popped off, like party crackers. And he, one of us, I don't know, we took all the ribbon, all the streams from it and like put it in a Dama. And we started playing it like that. And it looked super awesome, but two, it acted like the tail for a kite. So it made like spacewalks like super smooth. So, okay, like how about if you do that, but light the tail on fire?
Oh,
and then you could just use a normal kendama.
So it's like those like ribbon things where they do like the dances in the Olympics kind of thing, but you put it on your Tama.
Yeah.
And you light it on fire.
Exactly.
I like it.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
That's
I don't have hair.
Tomorrow?
Yeah. I don't have hair anymore. So like I'm free to play with fire and not worry about it, right? That's how that works.
We could probably use one of your old dreads as
Oh my
we
God.
could.
I would not want to smell that burning.
Yeah. No. We might get really high.
Oh, gross.
Weed just into your dreads for a whole years.
The weed would be the least of your worries, but
oh man.
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh shit.
Oh man.
But so Lisa, so what is the most like when you're juggling, do you want to always like create a new type of or incorporate a new flow of a jug, like I don't know what they're called, a routine,
a trick?
Is it a trick? Like what? Like cascade? Yeah. What is that? Is that a trick?
That's a trick.
Well, like it's not much of a trick, but it's a pattern. That's the word I'm looking for.
That's what it would be, I guess.
Pattern.
Yeah, patterns.
So, are you looking to incorporate new patterns to like level up, or are you the person that wants to be like, I'm going to start juggling like chainsaws, and now they're going to be chainsaws on fire. Now they're going to be chainsaws like in one hand, and then I'm going to have a kitten on the other hand, and like a bowling ball on the other hand. Like you go for the thrill seeker.
When I'm training, I usually like to just push my limits. So that's when the technical side come in and like the high numbers. So trying to push how many I can do or how long I can run a pattern. So like juggling 5 balls, how long can I keep going? And just like pushing the endurance. So that's more like the technical side. And I do like trying to create new tricks, but that does take longer. So it's kind of like a bit of both of that. And then when my performing side comes in, it's about polishing a routine and timing it to music. And that I do like creating short routines to music. kind of like dance. Like I can't dance, but similar. Timing it to music and like what can I do at this point, and just polishing everything up. That's what I quite enjoy.
Nice. You make the balls dance.
Yeah.
I know you said Dama and juggling are very different, but do you feel like juggling is a lot easier to be consistent with compared to kendama?
Absolutely, yes.
I can see that.
Juggling, once you learn a trick, you could go for like months without doing it, and then you could pick it up and do it. With kendama, it's so hard to get consistent, I've noticed. And so when I was in the States hanging out with Steph, I was performing in a show in Hollywood, and the day of the performance, I didn't really practice at all. Maybe like an hour before showtime, I started warming up a bit, but the whole day, Steph was just like, "Are you not going to warm up? Like, what are you doing? Like, are you actually performing tonight?" And I'm like, yeah, it's fine. Like, I do this routine all the time. Like, I'll just warm up a little bit before. And she couldn't really understand it, because when it's Dama, it's just like, you got to be consistent every single day. So I think that's like the difference. You can pick up a trick with Dama quicker, but it takes longer to have it solid.
Right.
But with juggling, it takes longer to learn a new trick. But once you learn it, it's just there forever.
Just muscle memory.
Yeah.
I could understand that, because it seems like your body is the tool that you're using to manipulate the juggling, where kendama is you're holding the thing you're manipulating that is in contact with a different thing you're manipulating, but now is even further from you. Thus makes it more difficult. That's why those Itami girls are just ridiculous.
Right. You feel like with juggling too and kendama, like the string was any sort of hindrance to you? Because I feel like that is my hardest thing with juggling, is just string control and getting that consistent.
It's the worst.
Yeah.
That was the hardest part.
Yeah, when I first, so we talked about like me knowing kendama my whole life, but it wasn't till like around 2016, like end of 2016, it was at a juggling convention that I discovered the new way of playing kendama, which was like more than just cups and spike. So my friend showed me that you can juggle it, and that was like the hook. And so that juggling a Dama was one of my first tricks that I learned. And so the string, like being restricted, was like the toughest challenge for me. So stringless, fine, I could do like so many juggles, but that string just made it so difficult. So that was something that took a little while for me to get used to.
Do you play with a really long string?
When I'm doing crazy juggles, yes. But I try not to have it too long, because if it's too long, then that feeling of cheating comes in again. And it's just like, there's no restriction or.
That's fair.
Is there a trick in kendama that you're afraid of? Like,
Afraid?
like you're like, I don't even want
skull plane.
I mean, the skull plane is one that we all should be afraid of, but like spacewalks, moonwalks. I don't see you throwing your kendama in that style. It's usual juggle kind of throw, or simple things like old school JKA starting with a hanging, like you're holding the string and the two damas everything's just hanging, and then you start from that. I
actually love those, but I never post them. Like I'll throw them in like games of Ken and stuff. Spacewalks, I occasionally practice, but of course it's not consistent. But lately I have been trying to get back into it. I think because I mentioned I do lots of juggle tricks, a lot of my strings are long. So that's why like I don't throw spacewalks that often.
Yeah.
But when you say like a trick that I'm scared of, one did pop up, a late goon. Those are scary.
Yeah, those are scary.
I haven't even like goon, attempted. Yeah, that just attacks your face.
Yeah, yeah, they do. For me, like any kind of like goon is just going to destroy your hand. Yeah, if it hits you the wrong way, I can only imagine how many fractures, knuckles busted that Wyatt has when he like goes for his like, what has he got? Like 5 down?
I think he did 6 once.
Oh my God.
If I'm not mistaken.
Can you imagine that? Like I just get clocked with it like on a single rotation.
Yeah. And like that guy plays pretty long string too. So that thing is fucking whipping.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have not branched into learning goons. I'm way too afraid.
I got into like the 1s and 2s. Like I don't do triple anything really, but they do hurt a lot when you don't hit it right. But the more you do it, the more you do find like a sweet spot that doesn't hurt. And the more you like get consistent with that, the less it hurts. That being said, every once in a while you do still mess up and it fucking hurts.
Yeah.
But that's bounces. Like if I'm grinding an arm bounce trick, I'll have a bruise. Like this big arm.
I've actually got a bruise right now. It's insane. That double arm bounce trick that I did recently, I'm still bruised. It's been like a week.
That's the ticket.
Yeah. That'll definitely get you.
I don't know if I want to show it.
Yeah.
Was that bad? Because there's definitely like a sweet spot.
Oh, it's gross. It's really bad.
It's a good one. Damn. Leo, I have a question for you, Lisa. You're talking about juggling festivals and stuff. It made me think. Have you ever been to EJC?
No, that is a dream. I've been wanting to. I almost did like a few years ago. No, like 2 years ago. But no, I decided to go to IJ instead. And then I was hoping I'll go last year.
Yeah, but alas.
One day it'll happen.
Well, one thing I thought about with EJC, which for those of you that don't know is the European Juggling Convention. It, I believe, is the biggest juggling convention in the world that happens every year.
Yeah,
I got to go in 2014, actually. Before I ever juggled, I didn't know how to juggle. I didn't learn how to juggle there. I was there just playing kendama and partying. I didn't give a shit about it. I watched all sorts of crazy shit, but I didn't like try any. I don't know why. It's very strange of me to not really get into like new things, but that's what happened anyway.
The party percent was just too high.
It was entirely too high. Yes. But one thing that makes me think of it is at the EJC every year for the longest time, when the Void was still running it, we would do the EKO, which was the European Kendama Open at the EJC. All these acronyms, very easy to understand. But so we had that was why I went to the EJC originally. And there was this kendama player who many of you have probably seen him. He's an old JKA player. He's probably at his time like the best kendama player in the world. And he used to come from Japan and win the EKO every year for like 4 or 5 years in a row.
Damn.
And his name is Tomoya Mukai, Mukai-san. And if you've seen him, he's always wearing a red jersey that says Wakayama on the back, which is where he's from, and he's got like the red undershirt.
Yeah,
and
almost
he looks like a fucking he looks like a baseball player. He's got a red towel that he keeps on stage with him, and he has all these weird little like warm up movements where he's like blowing on his fingers, and then he does like this eye thing where he like opens and closes his eyes really hard.
He's in the
motherfucker
zone.
Doesn't miss though. He's a machine.
Yeah.
But that guy, I remember the year that I went, I learned that this is a thing that he does. He brings a different piece of fruit. The year I went was with pineapple, and we just get drunk and we're fucking partying. He won the fucking shit, throws the pineapple way up in the air, and fucking spikes the shit out of it with like a jumbo can. He might have done like a trick with it and shit, because he also does performances and stuff with like juggling and kendama and whatnot. And just a funny memory that just came back with all of that. There's many pictures. If you guys have ever seen Tip Wet magazine, this is a good throwback for the real nerds. There's a shot of him in there. I believe he has a big fucking thing on his head. You wouldn't know it's him, but he's in there. Yeah.
I'll have to look for him.
Yeah, he still posts videos every once in a while. Actually, he is still really good.
Yeah, definitely. It's a consistency that he kills.
Real competition player.
Right.
But actually performing too. Like he was one of the better kendama performers I've ever seen, honestly.
Yeah.
So like the classic Japanese style where they have the headset and they're talking to the crowd, and they have like the fancy Japanese getup with like, I don't know what you call it, but like anyway, it's
like a happy or something. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's just like the stage wear that they all have, and just like they're up on the ladder doing a long string pull-up spike, you know, and like the juggle thing and whatnot. And he always had some crazy shit. Like I remember he was the first person I ever saw juggle 2 Kens and a Tama, and he was doing like every throw was an airplane, like one airplane, one airplane. Whoa! And I remember seeing that and being like, "What in the fuck? You can't do that."
Yeah,
that's too many airplanes. You know, just fucking
runway's getting crowded.
Yeah, but then I learned how to do it years later, so now I'm fucking hyped on it. But yeah, shout out to Moya Mukai.
Yeah, he definitely, he still has an Instagram and he posts every once in a while. That was like very, very performance-like, and which I feel is close to your style, Lisa, when at least your style, you're juggling, right? Because it's always performance. You're showing everyone how well you can juggle. Now, you've been doing it for such a long time, and there's a lot of different people that I'm sure you've met. Do you have a story for us, for the nerds, about that one time when you were juggling and someone was just in the back being like said something weird and you dropped your focus and you're like, God damn that person, or someone came to you after the show and gave you like an extra like $100 because they're just like, wow, you just were amazing, and you're just like, well, this person's crazy.
I don't think I've ever had a heckle, or even if there were something like a heckle, it wouldn't really bother me.
What about during a Renegade show?
See, I don't perform in Renegade that much.
What?
Occasionally, I'll do like a small quick trick, or like it's more like a party trick instead of like a routine.
Yeah, that's fair.
But nothing crazy. I can't think of anything.
Nothing? We've had a clean slate.
Like if you have no heckling, that means you're good.
Or everyone in New Zealand's just nice.
Maybe.
Hey, she was performing in America too, bud. Come on now.
Okay, true. But on the streets, I'm sure if like you were to just take it on the streets for everyone and anyone.
Yeah, busking. Do you ever do busking?
No, I've never really gotten into busking. I have a brother who is a full-time busker though. So he does like proper like street shows. So like 45 minutes. He makes from beginning till the end. He has a finale and like engages with the audience. And that's like really hard to do. And
yeah,
I've always been shy. So that hasn't really been something that I've gotten into, you know, talking to strangers on the street, having to make them stop to watch a show. That's like hard work.
Yeah.
So I've done like performing on the street as in like a roving entertainer. So like I get hired to entertain people at an event, like walking around. So I've done that before. But there was one
Here it is.
Instance where I was juggling knives, and I was performing for like this little market event, and I was told to just walk around juggling knives. So it was
a simple thing.
being careful.
Every Sunday I do that.
Of course, you got to be careful and aware of your surroundings when you're juggling knives. So I was in like a nice spaced out place just on the street, and I was minding my own business, juggling knives. And this person just casually walks into my pattern.
Ooh.
Like literally walks into my pattern. And so I was like, what is this person doing? And like straight away tried to protect them, pulled away. But one of the knives dropped, and I dropped towards their foot. Like, ooh. But it was fine. Like it wasn't near their foot, but it was close. And he stopped, looked at the knife, and like stared at me and was like, what are you doing? And
whoa.
I'm like, I was just juggling knives. But he looked really mad that I dropped a knife in front of him when he walked into the pattern.
Yeah.
Insane.
So funny. Yeah. I don't question your skill because you're obviously very good at juggling, but like picturing you, this like cute little petite, like sweet girl juggling knives.
Yeah, right. On my own, minding my business.
Yeah, I love it.
So how sharp are these knives we're talking about? I've juggled like some juggle knives that are pretty like not sharp. They just look like knives, right? Is it one of those things or is it?
Yeah, so those are the ones that I use. So they're not really sharp, like you could cut vegetables. But if you do drop them like from the
they're pointy, right?
It will stab your foot. That has happened to me before. But like this way, it won't do anything. But this way, yes.
Did it like stick into your foot?
Like a cartoon? Just like
it wasn't stuck.
Like Ace Ventura. Just like, no. And then the other one sticks into your other leg. Sorry,
I don't think I'll still be juggling if that happened to me. But no, it just like cut my foot. But there are people who do sharpen the knives. So before they juggle, they do cut a vegetable to show how sharp it is.
Yeah.
But I don't want to risk it. So
that's fair.
Juggle safely.
And so at that point, you might as well get the chainsaws out. I mean, what's the difference,
right?
I guess you got to pay for all that gasoline. You know, those things are just ripping in the air.
Yeah. So is there a point where you would like draw the line, Lisa, with your juggling equipment?
Like
are the knives? Yeah, safety wise. The knives it?
Oh, I can juggle fire as well, but knives and fire is pretty safe if you know what you're doing. So like, you know, if you catch it on the wrong end, it's with fire. If you let go, it's fine.
Yeah.
So those stuff, like those types of juggling, I'll do it, but only for like certain gigs. I wouldn't just like casually do it all the time. But those are usually like the crowd pleaser or like corporate gigs where it's like worth doing.
So do you do like you're talking about like the fire clubs?
Yeah, fire torches.
Yeah.
So it's got like a wick at the end, and you dip it in fuel and just light them up.
Fun fact: my first set of clubs was a set of those. Actually, a friend gave them to me. Yeah, and he just like hadn't juggled, and I was getting into juggling. So you can have them. I'm like, well, I don't fucking want these. I'm just learning. Damn it, I'm gonna. No. So I ended up trading them to my friend Yuki, and he gave me a set of clubs actually.
Nice.
Yeah.
I have a pair of I have just a pair of wooden clubs, and I got them.
Like
and
really
I didn't think about it. Yeah, really old. I didn't think about that it was just two until I got them. And it was like a week later.
Is it possible?
And I went outside. I was like, wait a second.
Set?
I'm like, how do I juggle two clubs? Let me grab them. It's just so I got it. There was like a used goods place in Japan. And
I've seen them
and it was going out of business.
In like an op shop.
And so like they were selling them for like 500 yen. Yeah. It's like
the
ones you would see in like a black and white, like 2 pounds standard, 2 pounds. I think it was made in the US. Yeah, Providence, Rhode Island. Providence.
Wow.
How intense is that? But so only have two of these.
Nice.
2 pounds. Definitely like a nice little club that you want to like
a bonker.
Right. Yeah, dude. Oh man. Like Gangs of New York style type weapon right here. But is there
bring that on a fishing boat for when your fish gets on the boat, you bonk them with that thing.
Yeah. So I doubt there's no way, right? I cannot juggle 2 clubs.
In one hand.
One hand. Oh, you got to take it a level up. See, I wanted to use both hands.
It'll up your kendama juggling game.
Yeah. No, that's true. I just got to take it outside. I usually play Dama inside. And actually, Lisa, when you came over to Kawagoe and you visited the Sioux Lab with Steph, and we did a Crazy Ken game, I was so wanting to use this, but
really?
I had no idea. Like every time I tried to like attach a string to it, like it wasn't working. And then when I would just try to like have just a single tama and this, it was so ridiculously hard. Like I just didn't even. I'm like, no, impossible.
Yeah.
Oh man. But you're gonna bust a club out on the juggler, eh?
I had to, but whatever. Yeah. I just brought some ote damas, and of course,
that was fun.
She won, but you really blew me away. because I didn't know how much of a professional you were until I met you and I saw you juggle 7 and like jaw dropped. I was just like, oh, like that's next level. 7. It was just like, have you seen that, guys? I guess, seeing it, and I think in person, seeing you do that, it's like seeing like a machine gun go off, like it's intense.
Yeah, man. Man, you were talking earlier about how when you train, you push yourself and whatnot. So what's the most number of balls that you've ever juggled, Lisa?
It's actually 7, because I can be a little bit of a perfectionist sometimes. I really want to get 7 solid before I move on, because I feel like if I just move on to 8, 7 might not become perfected, and then it'll just slow my progress down with everything.
It's an interesting way to look at it. Maybe I need to practice my 4 ball more before I practice my 5.
And also 7 is like a good number to perform, so that's why I want to perfect that. Like 8 would be fun to get down, but I wouldn't perform it. It'll just be for my own.
I feel like 8 would be so much harder because you're doing 4 in each hand rather than crossing, right?
I really don't like even numbers.
Yeah, that's so fucked up.
Yeah. I can't even fathom. Yeah, no. Like how
even
fast
6
you have to
is
move.
like 6 is crazy. 8 is just fucked up.
3 is hard.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, definitely. Man. Once you get used to it, though, because that's how I was, Haley, like for the longest time, thinking like 3 is impossible. Like my brain just doesn't compute that what my hands have to do and how they have to cross over. I would always just throw them and they would just go that way until it just clicked one time. I forgot. I was like playing with my kids' toys. Like they had like small balls and I was just like, wait a second. And it happened. I don't know why.
Yeah,
I mean,
that happens.
Minimal amount of time juggling. I can do 3, like that just standard pattern. I don't really know what it's called, but
cascade.
For maybe like 30 seconds. That's the cascade. Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, I know nothing else past that. So I have so much respect for jugglers.
That's awesome. That's impressive though.
Yeah. And recently there's that, what's his name? That dude who just received a kendama, another gnarly mustache.
Jacob.
Acrobat. Yes. He does a lot of different things.
A lot of his stuff isn't juggling at all. Yeah, it's like throwing a dart way up in the air, doing some crazy shit and putting a stick between his legs and catching it on that or something like that.
Are you kidding me?
Talking about risky props. Holy.
Yeah.
Lots of sharp objects.
So ridiculous. I don't understand how he's not injured or he probably is, or he's just got callus everywhere. I don't know. But shit.
I love like one of his first kendama posts was something along the lines of like, thanks. Lucas actually sent that to him, Lucas Adverse. And he was like, thanks, Lucas Adverse, for the kendama, something. It's like, I didn't realize what I was doing this whole time was playing kendama without a kendama.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Spiking it at the end.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he does some of the spike stuff where he'd like, one of them was like, it was a mechanical pencil and an olive, juggle the two of them and then spike the olive on the pencil.
Exactly. Yeah. Kendama shit without like the kendama.
Yeah.
So ridiculous.
Yeah. If you guys haven't seen him, you're missing out. Go check him out on Instagram for sure.
Yep.
Speaking about men with good mustaches.
Yeah. Right.
This is gnarly. He's grown up super thick.
Oh yeah.
All right, everyone. Well, thanks everyone for hanging out with us for such a long time. Episode 48. Now I want to bring in, we've had a good chat, Lisa. We're going to bring in our questions from everyone supporting on Patreon. If you're up on that 5 tier and up, you have the chance to ask a question to all of our guests and I will read them off. And so we got a few for you, Lisa. Here we go. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
In the mindset, no heckler's going to mess you up. It's not a quick
fire one, is it?
No. Do you want a quick fire? I forgot. No. I wanted to do one of those.
I'm really bad at those. It's a slow fire.
All right.
Just imagine every question is another juggling ball. It'll be quick.
Flying.
Instant.
Exactly.
So the first one comes from Nick Dodenhoff. He asks, are there any plans for a New Zealand Open?
That is the goal. So this year I spent some time running small events around New Zealand. So I feel like we're slowly growing, which is awesome. Like 2 years ago when I first started, it was just me and like one other guy. And now we have like a handful of people who come to jams. And we've also been discovering lots of kendama players within like the rest of New Zealand as well. So I did a little tour of events to try and grow the community a little more and introduce kendama to more people. And after maybe a few more years of that, hopefully there's enough players to hopefully run an event where we can compete. I'm not sure what kind of style we'll do, but yeah, once we get past the growing stage, it'll be more like competing or, like a more bigger scale event.
Now, with the current meetups that you do weekly, do you do mini games every week as well? Or do you have like mini like ladder runs or kind of open style, just fun within the group?
We play Ken games one-on-one but mainly to get everyone involved, we play games of follow or add-ons. It's always a great way. Or occasionally just candlestick battles.
Oh, yeah. And unicorns.
Which anyone can get involved. Yeah.
Going off that too, how is the female scene in New Zealand? Are there quite a few players?
There's a handful in Auckland, which is where I am, which is great. I've been getting into a little bit of the skating scene as well. I have a friend who runs skating meetups in Auckland, and she's really into kendama now. So through her, I've been able to meet more girls who wants to play Dama, which has been awesome. But yeah, slowly growing.
Yeah, the reason I asked too is because when we first started the All Girls Kendama Open Tour, we did US, Tokyo, and Taiwan. And it would be so awesome to do US, Tokyo, Taiwan, New Zealand.
That would be awesome. Yeah.
Back open again, but yeah, keep pushing it.
Yeah, will do.
Hell yeah.
Well, technically, New Zealand's so cool, you probably could go and do it right now.
Yeah, maybe.
Might be the only one of 2021.
Right.
Go to New Zealand. Yeah, but definitely with the Sue Lab, like me and Sue and the gang of like smaller and always increasing gang, we would have monthly events where it's like every Tuesday was our meetups, but there would only be, I think it was like the last Sunday of every month, we would just throw like mini competitions where we had like ladder tricks and a full like everyone Ken game, but everyone's involved. So it was a massive circle, and it to a point got too big where we're like, we can't do this anymore. One thing that was interesting that I learned was that for like speed ladders, before we used to try to make like beginner, intermediate, advanced, and it was always so tough to think of, well, what actually is intermediate? When do you go to advanced? Because there's some people who are like really good at juggling, but they can't stall. So it can be tricky. And I reached out to Rice and I was like, hey, I know you guys been doing Ken Garden like for the longest time doing competitions there. And I was like, you got any advice? Everyone out there who's listening, all the nerds who want to do this, do it. He's like, the most fun we ever had at a comp was when we got rid of intermediate, advanced, beginner styles, and we had everyone just do beginner bracket, like simple tricks. So it was all about consistency and speed at that point, which no matter what your level was very fun. Like everyone just had a blast. And then so we started doing that with Sue Lab, and it was, success.
Hell
That's
yeah.
awesome.
So try that out.
Speed Trick B contest.
Yeah, like that's it. It's already set. Just so you can do it the fastest.
Yeah, I think another way to go about it too, at least what I've tried to do with the all girls contest, because it is so hard to pick tricks for the categories, right? But picking like one trick from each style. So like do a stall trick, do, a lighthouse trick, do a spacewalk trick. So at least you like touch every single category. But it is hard. It is hard to like really break it down because it's such a vague, subjective thing,
Yeah, totally. All right. Well, it's just extra information right there. Moving on to the next. question from Adam over in Canada, Adam McNeil. He asks, if you were to write your autobiography, what would you title it? And then if you were to choose someone to write your biography, who would you choose?
Oh, gosh.
That's a great question.
That is a hard question. It's got to have like juggling in it. Like, I don't know. First thing that pops up into my mind is just juggling life. Because I used to have a vlog channel called Juggling Life. Let's say my juggling life, but also literally juggling life. I don't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe that. I don't know who would write it. I mean, isn't it supposed to be me who writes it? No?
If it's an autobiography.
Right. But if it was just a biography, who would you choose?
Oh.
Who knows you best?
Who knows you best? Yeah.
Who would you trust?
Or do you hire like Stephen King to make it all spooky?
Ooh,
or
spooky.
something?
Oh, that is hard. I don't know.
Your brother. So you said your brother is a busker. Is he that he works in juggling?
Yeah, he juggles.
Okay.
Maybe he could write it.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know about his writing skills, but he can do it.
Maybe like the Cliff Notes version. It's like, no, that's the full version.
Oh man.
All right. Nice. Moving on to our last one from Lachlyn Johnson. What is your favorite kendama game to play at a meetup? Is it usually just a game of Ken?
I do like games of Ken, but lately I'm really into add-ons. That's really fun. Especially because all levels can join. I like that. That has been like the best way to get everyone involved, and
they can
even like beginners.
Really? I've had some bad ones where someone would just like not think about that there's like two kids in the line and they just throw like a juggle spike in there. I'm like, dude, like, damn, like now what do we do? Do we either stop it and be like, okay, what you did was wrong, or do we let it continue and just try to cheer on the little kids as they struggle so much with this trick?
Oh, I recently learned the delete option. Josh taught me. Josh was streaming recently, and I joined in on the Zoom call on stream playing Polo. And he was talking about the delete option, and I'm like, what is that?
Yeah.
And so I don't know that existed. We could do that if someone throws a triple lunar flip in.
Right. I didn't know about that. Yeah. All I know is like the big cane that comes on stage and like yanks the person off by their neck. Dude, no.
How does it work? Like, does every player get one delete per game, or is there?
Yeah, one delete.
I like that.
Yeah. That is good.
Is it just for themselves or like for the line? As like if whoever did that,
a whole line.
It would be for the line,
itself. Yeah. So it's gone completely.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say, Lisa, you're talking about playing Follow. Have you ever played One Up?
What is One Up?
One Up is like kind of a lot like Follow, but instead of going like one after the other, you kind of you all like imagine there's like all four of us were in a round right now. If I start, I go big cup. We all have to do big cup, and then Haley goes next, and she goes like down spike. We all go down spike, but if I miss down spike, then I'm out for that round. And you go to the last person standing. That person gets 1 point.
Yeah.
And then after that, you start over again, and then it's a race to like 3 points, 5 points, or just play indefinitely, whatever. Same kind of thing, but it's like a little bit more of a
shorter, almost feels like.
I find it makes people pay attention because you all have to do the trick together and you have to hold it kind of thing. So like if you're playing with like Tama grip tricks, like if you get like a lunar, like you have to hold it while the next person does their trick. And then even if that person, like say it's my go and we're in a lunar and I say, well, I'm going to pop it to stilt. If I hop it up and I miss the stilt, even though I didn't set it, I set it by saying it. So all of you have to do it still.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Might try it out next time.
It's a fun one. It's been one of my favorites I haven't played it in a while, actually. There hasn't been a whole lot of Dama meetups.
Exactly.
A little bit. We're starting to get our Tuesday jams back here and there, but.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, only outside in the park.
Nice.
We're allowed to have gatherings of up to 10 people outside, they say.
Oh man, okay.
At this point.
Yeah. So Terra Shop circa 2011. 10 people.
Yeah. You mean Alex's parents' garage?
Yeah.
in Edmonton. Basically. Yeah. I think there was probably more people there back then, actually. The old Kendama Edmonton days.
There was another one that you mentioned, I remember in like an episode a while ago. And actually someone on IG asked us like, hey, you mentioned this kind of game. It was when we were talking with Josh.
Was it Agni Kai?
That's what it was.
I knew it.
What is that?
I forget. It's like, so 1UP is basically like a mixture of Agni Kai and Follow.
Who is Agni Kai?
What I know of Agni Kai is there's like that like cartoon anime, whatever you want to call it, Avatar, The Last Airbender. And in that there's like the firebenders who are all serious and shit. And they have like a tradition that's called Agni Kai that like you like challenge someone to an Agni Kai and it's like a fight to the death basically with fire because they're firebenders. Okay. So then how do you, so
it's just Follow.
So we were talking about lighting our kendamas on fire, right? So I'm just kidding. That's not. But it's I haven't played this one in a really long time. It's something along the lines of like you do a trick and instead of like Follow style where it's like one trick, it's like you do like a combo, like whatever. Like if you want to do like pull up lighthouse, flip lighthouse, down spike, like that's your trick, and then everybody has to match it. And if you don't match it, then you're out for the round. And then the other people continue till you get a point. Whoa. It's kind of more like a game of Ken mixed with Follow kind of thing rather than Follow.
Wow. But the point is to still do like simple tricks where people can be consistent.
I feel like that all depends who you're playing with, you know, like if you're playing with your homies who are like kind of at the same level, you can go ham for sure. Right. But if you're like showing someone, you know, a game and they, you know, are struggling, you're kind of like, I did triple lunar flip, motherfucker, do it. Let's see it. You know, like, yeah, there's where the delete button comes in, right? Exactly.
That's what it was. But yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of different games that are out there.
There's always the good old fashioned freestyle circle. We were talking about that last episode.
Oh yeah.
I fucking missed those. Those were the best.
Yeah.
You just hop in, do a quick trick, hop out, and yada yada. Yeah, it's so much fun.
Yeah, those are always the best. Just show off.
The good times.
Speaking of that, this is totally just like a story that I thought of. Rod, you were there. MJ, I don't know if you were there. We saw definitely before your time, but we were in Japan, and I think it was either for Catch and Flow, like the first one, or World Cup. But we performed at a Hooters.
Oh yeah, it was Catch and Flow.
We were basically a Dama circle, but like a line.
Yeah, it was Catch and Flow. Yeah, I remember. Only Nobu would bring us there.
Yeah, okay.
It was like Kusa Squad, Crom, maybe some people from Sweets, and like some of the Terra people and like Tomotsu.
I think it was just me. But yeah.
Yeah, Dama circles always remind me of that for some reason. It was just like,
dude. Oh, that was a funny night. Holy shit.
Yeah.
I remember rolling up and that we were going to meet up and we're like, oh, we're meeting at Hooters. And I was like, what?
We're in
Hooters?
Like,
yeah, we're in Japan.
There's a Hooters here?
What do you mean? Yeah, okay. Why are we going to Hooters in Japan? Like we couldn't go to like a fucking ramen restaurant or something. I can get Hooters back home. I don't need
I think that's like when it just opened up around that time in Japan. So like everyone, I remember like all my other Westerner friends at the office, like talking about it and spending way too much time there.
It's hilarious.
They did have one of those all you can drink for whatever for an hour kind of deal. Yes. So that's makes it a popular spot.
Yeah.
Right. Loosens everybody up to start the circle.
Yeah.
I'd be lying if I said I hadn't been there since.
I've been there since too. Not in the US.
Yeah.
Oh shit. All right.
Good times.
Everyone. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us. I think we're going to wrap it up. Episode 48. Lisa, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Taking your time, hanging out with us, talking a little about your past, some of the insight of kendama, your life, juggling, everything. It's been really great. Of course, Haley.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for being the third nerd again for this one.
Thank you for having me, Lisa. It's been so great. It was fun to meet you the one time I met you. But keep up the good work. Everybody loves your posts. It's always such a good vibe. You're fun to watch. So
thank you so much.
Progression. So keep killing it.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And then this, these episodes are always focused, these set of episodes are focused, trying to bring up the women even more to notice, to be proud of, to be, put
to the front lines.
To the front lines, to be like, hey, we're inclusive. We want everyone to be welcome. And for the most part, I believe it is, which is really good, but there are times
always
when
room
it's
for
not.
Improvement.
Exactly. So Lisa, with you being definitely a big inspiration for, I think, a lot of people, the community being so heavily engaged with Instagram, your clips being very popular and stuff. I'm sure there's a lot of people who see you and are like, oh, wow, like she must be a sponsored player. Like you're at that level. And of course, you have the background of being a professional juggler and stuff. Is there any message? I want to hear a message from you, Lisa. What can you give out to the people about women in the scene?
I think it's important to support each other always, and have fun. Play for yourself. Just enjoy kendama and just try to always remember what got you into kendama and continue playing for that and really treasure the connections you make. And, it can be hard to be seen sometimes when you're a female player. But try not to only look at how many likes you get or anything, because people who appreciate it will appreciate it and will see you. And that's all that matters. And just keep having fun.
Yeah. Straight, true words.
Well said.
Very, very much. So now how about to all the guys in the community?
All the guys?
Yeah. You got a brother, a little brother, older brother?
Older brother.
Older brother. Okay. So let's hear. So like, hey, dudes, be
always
cooler.
Be welcoming.
There you go. Yeah.
Especially events. So events. If you see someone who's new, or if you see anyone who's you've never seen before, try and introduce yourself. That might not seem like a lot, but it's really, really helpful. When I went to my first event, like AGKO, it wasn't just girls. They were like pro players, men who were pro players. And I wanted to say hi, but I was also kind of shy. And I was still new, so I felt like, am I allowed to go say hi? But there were a few people who came up to say hi to me. They knew who I was, and that meant a lot, So always be friendly and welcoming and support everyone.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. Thank you, Lisa. Good words.
Hell yeah.
Good way to end
Beautiful
episode
words.
48. Yep.
There's no better way to end it. I didn't get a chance to thank all y'all for coming in here and talking to this nerd here. I enjoyed every minute of it. I hope y'all did too.
Yeah.
Much love all around this little room right here.
Oh yeah. Virtual studio.
Yeah. And much love to all you nerds listening in for the last hour, 2 hours, however long we've been going at it.
Yep.
And all of our Patreons.
Thank you so much.
If you guys aren't a Patreon, feel free to hop on over there, check us out.
Yep. Get full video episodes. Of course, being able to ask our guests questions, because I think that's important and nice to be able to take part in this. But I'm sure we're all open. You can DM us, or maybe I shouldn't say that. Can you? Can I? You can let us know about a question you have.
I've been a Patreon for a bit, and I do love seeing the video parts of the episodes. I think it definitely, I don't know. I mean, there's something really great about just podcasts too, but it's so nice to see everyone's faces, especially since we haven't for so long. But definitely go support the nerds. It's worth the $1, $5, whatever you guys want to donate. So,
and what was it we were saying last episode? Is skip the McChicken. That's what it was.
Just don't buy one overpriced drink at Starbucks. Spend $5 and support your friends. And skip the chicken for sure.
Hell yeah. Well, I guess on that note, the nerds are
out.